Welcome back, everyone, to Your Confidence Unleashed. This is all about how to break through limiting beliefs to own your unique magic, unleash it into the world with unwavering confidence, and create the life you've always wanted. So, we're so excited to have Lezly here with us today. Welcome, Lezly.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us just in a, 2 minutes or less? We like to keep these conversations very juicy and very valuable for everyone watching. So, in 2 minutes or less, who are you and what's the difference that you're making in the world every day?
So I'm Lezly. I'm the founder of a recruitment company, Talent Co. And through that journey to finding my self-confidence and self-belief, I've also created the concept of grounded leadership and self-responsibility. I love the term radical responsibility. I use it often. And it's sort of a journey back to yourself to discover the things that make you tick in order to give yourself the confidence to go after everything and anything that you want in the world.
Oh, that's beautiful. I have found myself using radical responsibility a lot too. I
I
know
love
we talked
it.
about
I
this
wrote it too.
already.
It wasn't, I didn't coin that. A great teacher who used it a lot, and it just resonated so deeply in my soul. And that's how self-responsibility was born, because for me, everything comes back to the self. Every problem, every hiccup, if we can reflect and actually look at the lessons that they teach us rather than project what we're feeling onto other people, then we hold all the power.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I want to touch on that again. I love it. I mean, we've already had kind of conversations around this, and I think it's so important right now, especially for women. But before we go there, I would love to hear a little bit about your confidence journey. So, you are a very successful woman. You've created a very successful life for yourself, and you certainly appear to be very confident. But maybe you can take us back to a moment when
Mm.
you didn't feel so confident, whether it was in your business life, in your personal life, whatever comes up for you. And then from there, if you can take us into a moment where you felt on top of the world, where you felt like you could really just do anything because you were so confident in yourself.
I think for me, confident actually leads back to self-trust. And this is
Mm,
what self-responsibility is actually all about. It's coming home to trusting yourself. I've got quite an interesting journey, and I won't go into the full detail, but broken home, dropped out of high school when I was 17, had no one really to look up to, because I'm the cycle breaker in my family, in my generation. I'm the one that broke those chains and created change. So I think it's really important to, I was overweight, I was the smart one in school, I was never popular, so I didn't have any of the normal things you would think to sort of project into the world of confidence, or project into the world of backing yourself.
mm,
So I have this thing where I say, find people to borrow that trust and belief and faith from.
mm.
So until I believed in myself, and I wasn't even aware or conscious of it growing up, and it's not until I've sat back and reflected, I've gone, well, I had a year 10 teacher, an English teacher, Mrs. Beck, who told me that through my words, I was going to change the world. And at the time, I didn't really believe her. And reflecting back, it was those moments of having, I guess you could call them mentors. And, I pay for mentors now, and I'm in a beautiful position where I can afford it. But I joke that Grant Cardone told me to leave my $500,000 paying job to start a business, but I've never met the guy. So I borrowed his content. So I binged his content. I read every book that he put out there until I believed in myself enough to go, do you know what? I can do this, because Grant Cardone told me that I could. And I'm going to borrow that from him until I believe in it myself.
Wow. Oh my gosh, how powerful. Because isn't that what we're doing right now? Isn't that what your teacher did for you? Teachers and mentors can be so powerful. And I think, at least for me, maybe you can relate to this. That's what drives me every day, is knowing the people who have had that impact on me and knowing that something small that I could say could have that impact on someone else. That's really powerful stuff.
And I think as leaders, that's one thing, this whole grounded leadership concept is give your people the faith that you have in their ability and your ability, and let them borrow it from you whilst they build it themselves. Because sometimes that's all someone needs, is someone to believe in them when they don't believe in themselves.
Right. And how many of us come from homes where, we have parents or grandparents or family infusing that belief in us? I mean, it's probably not all that common to have grown up with that, to be blessed with that naturally, right? Kind of, most of us have to seek out those mentors.
And it's easier for me to say because I come from a home where I didn't have a mother per se, but I think they almost condition us to play it small because they don't want to see us get hurt. So it comes from a deep place of love, and it's almost like, near enough is good enough because I just want to make you feel loved just the way you are. Or let's aim here because I don't want to see you hurt if you aim here and you fall. So I think not having that placed upon me where I almost was like, well, I don't even know where I'm aiming because no one's telling me to go anywhere. So I aimed for the stars, and I've fallen many, many times. And I think that's the beauty of the journey, is that you just have to believe in yourself and get back up. And I lose confidence along the way every day. Like, people say it, like, you're so confident and you believe in yourself so much, and they don't see the days where I'm lying in bed going, wow, I made a really average decision yesterday, and what am I going to do to fix that today? And I think if we can just get up every single day and make the best decision we can for that day and keep moving forward, that's all we can do. Like, we're not going to be perfect in every moment. We're not going to be confident in every moment. But if we can wake up each morning and go, today I'm just going to try that little bit harder to be a little bit better and to be a better human, then we're winning.
Oh my gosh. Well, how beautiful that you're able to say, first of all, that you made an average decision. I love that language that you chose, because it doesn't come from a judgmental place of beating yourself up and saying that, oh, how stupid or how dumb or, how ridiculous was that. Is an average decision. I'm going to borrow that. I love that language.
Yeah. And like, people say to me, which I love, like, fall forward, because you're going to fall, but just fall forward. You don't, if you have to turn your phone off for 2 days to reprogram. I'm working with a concept with one of my mentors at the moment where I'm going to pre-plan down days, because sometimes it can be overwhelming when you're building an empire. Like, it's a lot, and you're going to make average decisions, but you need to have the ability to keep falling forward. Otherwise you'll get to a place. It's funny, I'm away on retreat and I've been doing yoga every day. And she reminded me that we fall to get back up. So we only fold forward to rise again. And we just need to keep a hold of that belief in ourselves that we're always going to rise.
Oh, I love that. How did you find all of this? So, I mean, that's my question. What led you to all of this?
Starting a business, and people say it all the time, it's the biggest personal development journey, because you make mistakes quickly. And I think I started asking myself the question when things would go wrong, what part do I play in this? Like, there's clearly reasons that things are going wrong. And in the beginning, they went wrong often. And I just sat with myself and I went, okay, it's no one's fault. And it's not even my fault per se. We like to blame someone or something. We just have a lot of conditioning. And for people that might come from trauma, like myself, you view the world through the lens of that conditioning. So I wanted to unpack my core beliefs and understand what was my belief and what was the belief that the world gave me. Like, I wasn't good enough because my parents are drug addicts, or I wasn't smart enough, or I wasn't pretty enough, or I wasn't resilient enough, because we are enough. We just have to believe that we are, and then step forward with that belief. And I'm in a beautiful position where I've paid mentors to kick me into gear when I need it. But again, I'll go through phases where if I'm driving, the only thing I listen to is audiobooks. Now, sometimes that might be relationship personal development, but a lot of the times it's business personal development. It's that insatiable curiosity to understand what makes us programmed the way we are, and try to understand how we can use that in the best possible way to push us forward.
Oh, I love that. And when you started asking yourself those questions around, what part do I play in this? That's a complete shift for a lot of people. There are a lot of people listening, and a lot of people out there in the world who maybe that's a new concept for. Like, maybe there are a lot of people who look at their lives and just say, well, this is all just happening to me. And, my job sucks. My partner's an asshole. My children are ruining my life.
Yeah. And this is the cornerstone of radical responsibility or self-responsibility, is we're the common denominator in that. And it's not that we're right or we're wrong. It is just the lens in which we see the world. And what I like to ask myself is, and it can be overwhelming trying to move from where you are here to where you want to go. But if I can answer from my heart in every moment and speak my truth in every moment, then that is as honest and as raw as I can be. That's what we can give ourselves. And the issues that I came across in the first 24 months of my business were actually because I kept giving my power away to other people, because I didn't trust myself. I had, I guess, outward confidence, but there was this ingrained part of me that didn't have the belief that I would had my own back. So that was my journey inwards, to go, well, how do I get back to loving and trusting myself? Because if I can love and trust myself, then I don't need to give my power away to anyone else. And I don't need to rely on anyone else to give me the answers, because if we sit with ourselves long enough, we actually have all the answers to get from where we are to where we want to be. It's just quieting the mind to listen to the heart.
Wow. So how did you get from that place to a place of self-love and self-trust? And apart from the getting quiet, because I know it's a huge part of it, is learning to listen to our intuition. Are there any other tactics or tools or?
My favorite practical tool is breath work. And that is a journey inwards. It's like meditation on steroids. It's that journey to quieten the mind and really connect to the body. And we're so programmed, and a huge part of my success is because of my logical mind. So I'm really good at solving problems like this, but it comes from the mind. The biggest shift has been letting the mind solve the problem and coming to the heart to understand whether that's the right decision. So breath work has been a huge catalyst in that nervous system regulation and getting out of that fight or flight mode. And really, I can make good decisions that might seem logical, but are they going to be sustained long term? Because are they coming from my head or are they coming from my heart? So yeah, breath work, hands down. Self-inquiry is the biggest one, and you need to want to know the answers, is what I would say. It's not like you wake up one day and go, oh yes, I want to be the best version of me and I'm going to do some breath work and that's going to be it. It'll take you to the depths of your soul, and there'll be days where you won't want to keep going. So if you start down the path of self-inquiry, make sure you're ready to face the answers, because it'll be hard. And some days you won't want to keep going, but I promise you, on the other side of the fear is this beautiful acceptance that you have all the answers, and that literally it is confidence, because love and trust of yourself outwardly shows as confidence. So if you can turn inwardly and find that love and trust for yourself and really go, I back every decision I make because I know I'm making it from the most purest of places because I know myself deeply, then you can't really put a foot wrong.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I the the self-trust piece is something that I really work on with my clients a lot. And it's so funny that you talk about it being hard and about that journey really being difficult. Looking inwards is not always pretty. And it's a choice to dig into that every single day. I just posted something on Instagram this morning about that you have to choose which hard you want, right? Most of us we're always,
Choose you.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Choose
Choose you
you.
in every moment. Like, don't, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's really difficult, especially in society. And we're conditioned to think that putting yourself first is selfish,
Mm.
that, you know, don't be full of yourself. What is confidence if it's not being full of yourself? I'm proud that I'm full of myself because I don't want someone else to hold the key to the, you know, my life.
Yeah. Should we be
Because
empty of ourselves?
yeah, like what is the opposite of being full of yourselves? I'm glad I'm full of myself. You know, I've just lost 35 kilos and through almost no effort because I mean, I had a health condition. After having my son, I had gestational diabetes, polycystic ovaries. I went to a doctor and they helped me lose the first 20 kilos by adjusting some medication that I was on. But the last 15 fell off because through this journey of coming home to myself, you kind of respect yourself more. You're in a place where you're not eating to fill a void because you feel empty, because you've filled your own cup up with love, that you're like, well, do you know what? I want to eat all of the healthy food and do yoga. I'm on a week-long retreat and I'm like, I have to move because I love myself enough to give that to myself. So coming home to yourself, coming home to that self-love and self-trust will transform your life in every aspect. Because you then realize you hold the power to everything.
That is so powerful. And it's a balance. What's coming up for me right now is what we were just talking about, how it's hard to look inwards and to dig inwards, but it also creates so much ease in your life because, like you said, that weight just sort of fell off when you get to a point of truly trusting and truly loving and being able to intuitively listen to yourself and guide yourself in that way. It creates the ease and the flow that we're all just looking for and searching for, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, like some nights I'll eat an ice cream every night of the week, but I don't feel guilty about it. And I think it's that pressure that we put on ourselves to be perfect that actually adds to our stress, which affects our hormones, which is actually the reason that we put on weight. I mean, if you ate hot chips every day, you'd probably also put on, but you know, like I eat good food, you know, and again, I'm in a beautiful position where I can eat organic food and, you know, I get it delivered and like, I understand that there is aspects of the life that I've created that make it easier, but you can work within the confines of what you've got. And like, I grew up on a farm and we were that poor that my nana made my clothes. You know, no one got me to where I am except for that self-belief. And again, I borrowed it for the first 25, maybe even 30 years of my life, and I'm only 35. You know, it's hard sometimes to believe in yourself when the world tells you that you shouldn't.
And I'm just picking up on all of these little, the language that you choose to use and that you use in your everyday life. I mean, you say that the life that you have created has allowed you these things. It's not the life that you have or the life that you were blessed to be given. It's the life that you created.
I worked hard and I still work. And do you know what? Not, you know, and I talk about trauma and I understand not everyone comes from that lens, but my trauma response worked in my favor because I was a workaholic. If I worked all of the time, I didn't have to listen to the voice in my head that told me I wasn't good enough. So I'm very grateful for that because it got me to where I am today. But now I have that solid foundation to go, well, I want balance. And, I schedule in walking meetings because I want to move, but I also want to spend time with my people. If I have a really big stressful event or something that should stress me out, I immediately, if I can, stop what I'm doing, drive to the beach, walk along the beach for an hour before I respond, because I know I'm then responding from my best self, not my reactive self. But it has taken me, well, probably the last 12 months of perfection, but I would say a good 5 years of deep self-discovery.
Mm.
And even that, I started, I stopped, I started, I stopped, I started, I stopped, because I could feel the depth of the change that was going to come and the depth of the grief that I would have to feel to mourn my old self. And that can be confronting. And when you then realize that as much as you're responsible for the good, so when I talk about the life that I've created, I'm responsible for that, but I'm also responsible for the bad. And there is bad. You have to have polarity. You actually have to feel the bad to be able to fully appreciate and feel the good. But it's knowing that the good's coming because you have the ability to create it for yourself.
Oh, that's amazing. The polarity, I think, is really important for everyone to understand. I think we look at maybe someone like you and think that you have created this beautiful life, and we make up stories around the fact that you must not experience the bad things that everyone else experiences, right? And it's just not the case. The polarity is there for all of us.
People look at the Instagram reel of life, and I guess we share that. To be fair, if you look at my if you're lucky enough to be on my private Instagram, you'll see the depths of some of the emotion that I feel, and I share snippets of it on LinkedIn. Not everyone's ready to understand the raw emotion that you feel to experience polarity. But so I talk about in grounded leadership, becoming the storm. So life happens and things go wrong, and they will go wrong. And I used to think I would get to this place where my life would just be ease and grace and light and love, and nothing would go wrong in my life because I was so in tuned and aligned, and it would just flow. Like, that's what enlightenment is, right? I need to get to this place where nothing bad happens. No. I've gotten to this place where shit happens, and I don't allow it to affect me in the same ways that I would. I don't allow it to deregulate my nervous system. I don't allow it to throw me into a tailspin. So I talk about becoming the storm, where if you're the one creating the waves, then you're not going to feel the impact of the storm coming towards you. So I can sit on the beach and watch the storm come in and go, oh, how beautiful is it going to feel on the other side of this? So I talk about becoming the storm. So when it hits you, you don't feel like you're sucked into a whirlwind of stress and anxiety and why is this happening to me and what's wrong, and where did I go wrong? What decision did I make? Why? I do all of these things to become the best version of myself. So why do I keep getting things thrown at me? Well, that's just life. We're not living on an island where, we're interacting with people that perhaps don't have the same level of self-awareness, or, my core business is corporate. I can't control big mining companies and their decisions. If they're cutting budgets and they take my people off staff, it is what it is. I can't control that. We just need to learn to control the controllable. And the one constant controllable we have is the way in which we react to situations. It's everything else is actually perceived control, because the only thing we control is our response. Any other form of control is perceived.
Oh my gosh, that's so important for people to land with them, that how many of us are going out there, especially in the last couple of years when we've had sort of this overall sense of feeling out of control. How much are we grasping for control? It's all just perceived. And the only way we can really control anything is by controlling ourselves.
Become the storm. Just learn to write it out. And people, that saying, this too shall pass, or you can create the storm and let it move with you.
Oh, I love that. That feels much better than this too shall pass. more
Mm.
responsible.
It's up to us. We can react in whatever way. And it triggers people, and you also have to be prepared for that.
For
If
sure.
people, like if people land big news or big things, and it's like and I'm not always in, like, again, don't get me wrong, I am in no way a perfectionist, and sometimes I react from my old self. And sometimes I find new triggers, and I actually love that, because if something triggers me, I go, ooh, I
Interesting.
thought yeah, where did that come from? And why have I reacted? And no judgment. I'm like, wow, that was an interesting response. Clearly something that I need to work on there. And then I, more often than not, will lean into that truth with the person, but it can be uncomfortable. So you need to be prepared for that as well. You can't go into the world and expect everyone to view the world with the same lens you do. And that can be a rocky lesson to learn as well. But it comes back to, it almost doesn't matter how people respond if you can bring yourself back to your truth.
Yeah. I feel like the theme here that we've been touching on is that really digging deep and getting to the place where you're at right now is hard. It's hard work. Why would anyone want to do it?
Oh, that is a great question. The increased sense of freedom that you feel when you have love and trust for yourself, that becoming the storm means literally anything can come at you and you have a way to respond. Um, it means that you can create ripple effects in the world to give other people the ability to ride out their own storms. It means that you actually get to choose who you are, where you're going, and what impact you want to leave on the world, rather than the world dictating to you where it wants to take you. It's about that ultimate, like, understanding your ultimate truth, and then standing in that truth so firmly that you can share that with people and give them the tools. And a lot of people will take portions, but if we talk about the polarity of life, bad things are going to happen. They just are. There's no avoiding it. People we love will die, or companies will have a client pull a contract from them and they'll go to be bankrupt, and you'll lose your job, and that's no one's fault. These things just happen. And it's the ability to be able to step forward with that confidence to go, whatever life throws at me, I love and trust myself enough to know that I will get through this. And whether that's me and my husband, or me and my best friend, or me and my children, like, I know that I've got me enough to keep moving forward, and move forward in the best possible way to allow that love of life to impact other people along the way.
I love that. Oh, that's beautiful, Lezly. Thank you. I just have one last question that I ask all of you lovely women, and the answers have just been so powerful. But I know that there are women listening who would love to step in to some vision they have on their hearts, whether it's doing something like you do, doing something like one of the other women in the summit do, or doing something completely different, but just they have sort of a calling, that there's something bigger that they're supposed to be doing. What would you tell those women if you could make one thing really land for them? What would you want them to know?
We can have everything we want. We just need to want it bad enough. And like I said at the beginning, borrow someone else's trust or faith until you believe in yourself enough. Because realizing that you can literally have anything that you put your mind to brings the power back to you. And doesn't it feel amazing to think that you're in control of yourself and your future?
So amazing. You are such a beautiful example of that. And I mean, you just live it and breathe it, and it's so obvious in your choice of language and in the way that you present yourself. You know, there may be people listening to these conversations who may think that a lot of this sounds like lip service or like cliches. I mean, a lot of these things that we say are the things that you hear in the personal development books or you see in a quote on Instagram, but like you and I, we're living it, and it's real.
It's real, but I think it's easier to believe the stories. It's easier to believe
Mm.
the conditioning. It's, you know, like I said, this is not, I'm not sitting here saying this was the easiest thing I did. And I woke up one day and bam, I was confident, and bam, I lost 35 kilos, and bam, I had a business. Like, my business still has days where I'm like, oof, not sure how I'm going to get through today. I'm going to take myself for a walk on the beach for an hour before I respond, because right now I'm definitely not my best self.
Yeah.
I need that circuit breaker before I make the next decision. And
Mm.
that's okay. I just need to keep moving forward.
So beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. And you have a gift for our audience. Do you want to
Yes.
tell them about that?
Yes, so I'm going to be producing some audio along with a PDF of the self-responsibility code. So they'll actually get a sneak peek into this new concept that I'm releasing to the world. And it's the foundations of taking that journey home to yourself, and some practical tips for how you can start to put that into practice.
Oh my gosh. So it's literally everything that we've been talking about bundled up and delivered.
Yeah, just
Beautiful.
how to start believing.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Lezly. This conversation has been totally fulfilling for me, and I know for so many people who have been listening.
Thank you so much. I feel honored to be here.